Alright, here we are with part 2 of a Firewood 101 tutorial for rookies. Haven't filmed part 1 yet, gotta go and do that in the shop. Now remember, heating with the firewood is a real lifestyle decision. Some of the positives are that the unrivaled radiant heat, no other heat source will drive the cold from your bones quite the same. Power goes out, your pipes, your pets won't freeze, you can cook on it, boil water, it's even a light source. Its acoustic and visual effects comfort us on a primal level, and there's none of that annoying rattling and clanking of a forced air unit. It'll keep your blood flowing too, because you move a lot of wood around, a lot of times. More on that aspect a little later. Some of the downsides, you're a slave to that firebox. Baby's hungry, always hungry. Lifestyle again. Is anyone home to feed baby during the day? If not, do you supplement baby during the day with an alternate source? Or come home to a cold house. Conversely, baby's very apt to need fuel during the night if you want a warm house in the morning. Size of the firebox, how cold it is, and for how long, etc. All managerial strategies. It's messy. Wood, bark, and shrapnel. You wear out a corn broom a year sweeping the floor. Sweeping. You can discount the broom's expenses. It all ends up in the firebox in the end anyways, I suppose. Dust, inevitably, inarguably. Try as you may, try as you might. It's dusty with a fine wood ash. Goes everywhere. And that's a fact, Jack. The wood itself has an aroma. Some woods, cherry for example, most people would find sweet and quite pleasant. Some others, elm and poplar, are two that come to mind. Can, if they're a bit wet, be rather pissy smelling. The stove and the burning wood will lend your house a subtle but undeniable aroma. Most folks won't find it unpleasant. If your fellow wood burners will find it familiar and comforting. But some city-its, that's a city idiot, might find it as so foreign to them as to be mildly disconcerting. If your city-idiot in-laws are coming, you might want to consider whether you loaded the wood box with that sweet-smelling wood, or maybe the stinkiest, nastiest stuff you've got. That's your call. Space, where do you store your wood? Based on my previous video's math, if you burn a face a week times 4 weeks, that's 1 bush cord a month. That's a pile 4 feet deep, 8 feet long, and 4 feet high. Times that by 6 months, that's 192 square feet. Might as well round it up to 200. Stack that up in one humongous pile. It's 10 by 20 feet. Your single car to garage doesn't fit the car anymore, or a lawnmower or the weed eater for that fact. My point is the logistics of storing this volume of wood poses challenges that must be given some serious consideration. Obviously you want the wood kept dry, not frozen out at the end of the yard. You gotta haul it back with a wheelbarrow. You can see where I'm going with that. You know, day-to-day operations. Once you've come up with a plan for storing your wood and how you as easily and conveniently as possible get it to your firewood or to your firebox, we'll come back to the space issue again. Let's move on to some tips and tricks. Get one of these magnetic stick-ons for the pipe temperature gauges. 15 bucks on sale, might be 30 if you just gotta grab it quick like. It's a real learning device. It'll educate you if you're a rookie. And if you're a veteran, you'll still learn from it. It'll give you peace of mind. You can use it to rock the stove out, clean the creosote out of the pipe. It'll also tell you the quality of the wood you're burning. As in, hey honey, I loaded the firebox with ash. It only goes up to the low yellow. That's all I can get out of it. Load it up with elm. Ooh, she's rocking for the danger zone. Let the wife melt your wood stove with elm. It happens more often than you might think. Get one. Silly not to. Oh, yeah, another handy device. One of these temperature guns. A laser dude, you know. Boop. What am I doing here? You know, you can use it for peace of mind too. Example, it's behind the stove hotter than I'm comfortable with. I can use it all about the house looking for cold spots that might signify an incident of shortcoming or something. Obviously, you need a metal pail and your basic stove implements. Just the pail in the frame, there you go. Metal pail. Oh, that was full. Yeah. Two are better than one. Make sure the pail is safe and sound and solid. If the handle let go of the bottom, or if the bottom let go, the handle let go, whatever blew out halfway up the stairs, I don't know, call the dog and run, Forrest, run. Don't compromise your ash pail. Never, ever vacuum out your stove. I don't care if it's been burned out for a week. Never, ever take the incredibly stupid chance that the tiniest wee ember remains alive and you just force-fed it a bunch of oxygen. I've force-fed it a bunch of oxygen into the best little bag of tinder you can imagine. Check the comments below. I'm sure someone will point out there's now available these new vacuums that are safe and in fact made for vacuuming out fireboxes. It's a luxury. It might be nice to have one. That aside, never, ever, ever use a conventional vacuum, whether portable or a central vacuum, or even worse, can't throw it out if it bursts into flames, to clean out your wood stove. You're tempting the gods, the odds, and fate or whatever beyond their ability to resist. To single you out as an argument for selective breeding. Just don't do it. Some heavy gloves with a gauntlet. Handy and can save you that odd oops and ouch. Far easier to fuss about in there than with a pair of tongs. I don't have much use for that. Some nice gloves. Excuse me. Now here's a cool tip my roomie Jono came up with. All that bark and shrapnel you're sweeping up, there's lots of it, tons of it. Throw it in a beer box or something similar. Great for starts, restarts. It's the easiest way to deal with it. Canadian, eh? Anyways, I tried in the past, just shovel it into the box and it goes everywhere. It's a great trick, it really is. Wish I could do some editing and clean that for my own, but no, it's you can put it in a paper bag. It doesn't have to be, it's got to be something burnable, but whatever. Yeah. No waste, no need to haul it away. It's, you can use this in the garden, fill low spots. You use it in traction for your drive, but why not just do this and throw it in your firebox? Airflow. Yes, your wood stove consumes a lot of air. I've seen where people plumb air in from the outside to the stove, and the theory that the stove's drawing, warm air from the house and pulling cold air in. Well, yeah, it does. There's nothing flawed in that theory. But to my way of thinking, I have in mind I'm happy with this situation as it keeps my environment with a healthy, positive airflow. My abode's airflow has been endlessly recycled through a forced air vessel thing. Yeah, it's pulling cold air in, but your house needs air changed anyways. The air in your house is getting sucked now into your firebox. Excuse me. The pet dander, cooking orders, building off gas materials, dog farts, it all goes in the stove. To my finding, a wood heated home smells better than any other recycled air type. But there is a difference between a log cabin with moss chinking between the logs and the latest hermetically sealed Arcadillian wonder house. To summate, I'd say the airflow your firebox draws assures a good, healthy air exchange of air. I'll take it over a filter recycled forced air system any day. However, it is a lot of work, the wood stove. It really is. I might as well keep going. I'll wrap part 3 in with part 2. Where do I get my wood from? And how much can I get for free? Hmm. So the second part of that question, there's only one way known to man to secure free firewood. You must capture and enslave a wood elf. These elusive fairy-like denizens of the deepest, darkest forests are known to party with the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and the Himalayan Yeti. Wily creatures they are. Wily, I tell you. Yeah, and thus far I've eluded my plentiful plethora of the most cunning and ingenious traps. Apparently I've yet to find the right bait. However, undaunted, I will continue to persevere in my quest. Meanwhile, let me tell you of my experience in the more conventional forms of firewood procurement. Pallets or skids, call them what you want, plentiful and free. Don't even bother trying. There's more space in a pallet than there is wood. Your saw will find all the nails, screws, and staples your eyes didn't. You'll end up with a whole whack of tire-hungry nails lying about and an argumentative mess to clean out of your firebox. More space than wood. If your patience isn't taxed beyond endurance, cutting them up, you'll find the finished product to be a mess of oddball shapes and pieces that still contain more space than wood. I've seen a few people try it more than once. The effort and the aggravation compared to the actual weight of the wood just doesn't add up. The only way I can and have seen it to work is a really large shop with a huge homemade burner with a door large enough to fire the whole skids into. Still, there's not a lot of space and little wood. Your truck piled up with skids, how much cubic footage of wood is there actually in there? Sorry. A sort of related industrial commercial area wood source is the hardwood used for shipping. Hardwood is used for spacing loads in the shipping and trucking because it doesn't compress like softwood. Glass and the steel industries use a lot of hardwood dunnage, as I call it. Well, you know what it looks like. I got a piece of it lying over there I meant to set aside here. And I forgot. In transporting their, steel, you often find the wood contaminated with oil, of course. The upside of that dunnage is you'll find very little in the way of nails. If you ever tried to drive a nail into kiln-dried oak, I don't even have to, even have made reference to this issue. It's clean. It's not going to have trouble with your saw finding steel. Another problem with this sort of scavenging is the competition, your fellow crows. They also keep a keen eye out for just such a find. However, I wouldn't discourage any of my fellow crows, I'm one of them, from keeping a keen eye out and capitalizing when you find, got the luck to get such a good find. Don't hesitate. And certainly do not say, not right now, I'll come back. Too many of crows out there for that. It won't be there when you come back. You can go a step further beyond just keeping a keen eye out. Put a little thought and perhaps some work into it. Very little of this dunnage gets repurposed. That's why you often see it laid out by the side of the road. They don't want to pay to get rid of it. So they put it out there, they know the crows will take it away. With some thinking and some homework, you might find one or more small to mid-sized businesses you could approach. Basically ask, if the dunnage is an expense, aggravation, headache, would they be interested in, if you, at no cost to them, made their life so much better as regards this aspect. You'll take it away for them. Now, you have no dependency on luck and happen chance. You get all their wood, and you can schedule it to your convenience. In harmonious interaction with their operations, of course, with what I'll now call your customer supplier. You also benefit in now being able to have an approximation of the volume of wood you're going to get from said location or locations. Your less proactive fellow crows will wonder at what they perceive as your good luck. So getting all that wood, he's always carrying it around. Yeah. Now that stuff, as much as it's beautiful kiln-dried hardwood, often red oak, Doesn't have the same duration in it that your split wood does. Now, you can stack it in your firebox like bricks, light the fire on top, get a good long burn out of it, and clean. You're not sweeping up. You're not going to wear out a corn broom on that stuff. Alas, still no wood elf to pay for your truck, saw, and fuel. You still got to cut it. Now, there's no splitting, a huge bonus. It's really clean, minimal shrapnel. Another approach is what I'll call being a ditch bunny. Most wood crows, and certainly every ditch bunny, faithfully carries his chainsaw and related in the truck. Need I say, out of sight? If not, securely locked up as well. An opportunistic thief, an opportunistic sneak thief, just cannot resist the allure of an unguarded chainsaw. I have a sneaky suspicion these heinous creatures sell their ill-gotten gains to the wood elves, but having no evidence to substantiate my hypothesis, I shan't dwell on the matter. A ditch bunny trolls the back roads in the pursuit of standing dead, fall downs, blow downs, and the occasional lucky score of findings left behind by a clearing crew doing the hydro lines, whatever. Being a ditch bunny, of course, has its pros and cons. The difference in perspective, for example, from the cab of the truck, looking down in the ditch looks well worth the effort. You get down to the bottom of the ditch, looks back up at the truck and the wood, and yeah, a little tougher and less productive than it looked like from up there in the crown of the road. This is important. What's most important for the ditch bunny to know, however, is what's considered public domain. Don't quote me. Around here, I think where I am, from the center of the road to 33 feet into the ditch is public domain. I can't cut live trees. It's a municipal bylaw thing. But anything found in the ditch is public domain and free for the taking. Here's where it goes awry, or can. The poor ditch bunny is confounded the first time he is confronted with an irate property owner who knows nothing of this public domain stuff. That tiny, say, half face cord tree, long since dead. Something he never noticed before. The fact he doesn't own it is irrelevant. The poor ditch bunny is now a thief and a trespasser. Oh yeah, it goes down like that. I might throw in here, in case I haven't somewhere else, because I do forget things. A 12-inch tree, diameter at chest height, basal height it's called, contains one face cord of wood. A 16-inch tree at that same height contains two face cords of wood. It's not my theory, look it up. It's reality, and it works. I lent my book to a guy, never got it back, so I don't know. You get into 20 and 24, it goes up fast. It's more a dropping, felling thing. But you're a ditch bunny, you're looking at the size of the tree, you know, it's worth knowing. Okay, the irate non-property owner. Now a cop shows up. The ditch bunny now may have to explain public domain to the cop. He might not know it. Cops don't like being told what's going on. Now he's not happy. He's got showing up in front of the ever increasingly freaked out property owner. The ditch bunny, meanwhile, is desperately hoping he hasn't crossed the 33-foot line, in case all this just gets stupider yet. Okay, property owner and the cop having departed, the ditch bunny stubbornly reaches for a saw, only to be confronted yet again. This antagonist now is likely to be driving a $100,000 6-ton SUV that has fuel mileage rate in yards per gallon. And this eco-responsible good citizen eyes the poor bit in this eco-responsible good citizen's eyes, the poor ditch bunny is now an eco-terrorist. He's gone beyond a thief. He's he's nuking gay unborn baby whales or something. Oh. By the time the hapless ditch bunny gets all this sorted out, The ditch has now somehow gotten steeper and it's begun to snow and it's getting dark. The ditch bunny's left his truck idling the whole time, as was the cop's cruiser. The irate property owner's ATV was idling and the behemoth SUV. Nothing green happened here, folks. But the poor ditch bunny has gratefully left his truck running despite the fuel expense. At least he'll be warm on the way home because he didn't actually get any wood for at home. The ditch bunny consults his gas gauge and his wallet. A comparison shows to his relief he can afford the local newspaper. The ditch bunny's now just going to take a look and see at what the fool stuff would actually cost to just buy. Quick beer sip here. I think I deserve it. Ah, yes. Now don't take me wrong, you've got your saw in your truck. The ditch can land you a lucky score on the way by now and again. Nothing wrong with it. Watch out for wires and nails, mind you, and stuff you might never think. Like a Buick hood ornament. And what could that old partial gear cog possibly have come from? And how did the tree grow around it? Go watch that stuff in the ditches. Buying wood. There's really sort of three options here. The high-end price-wise is to sort out the equivalent, the equivalent of your high-end big box store. Large garden centers / and or landscaping centers often offer firewood. They'll be top-end and firm on pricing, but on the upside, will almost probably never run out. Delivery and pickup, easily arranged. Very seldom don't they deliver. I mean, they've got a dump truck lying around for a bunch of reasons. So let's start where the wood at the big box store comes from. It comes from big white firewood processors that have those really big, cool, and really expensive automated wood processing machines. And all the really cool, big, expensive support equipment, payloaders, skid steers, bobcats, conveyor systems, and a really, really big yard. Far and away, the bulk of the wood they process comes from big logging outfits. The logging outfits are harvesting timber to be milled into lumber primarily, as this is where the most of the money is. The junk wood goes for pulp, softwood. This is where you get your leftover junky hardwood. Pulp, paper, softwood. And logs that are twisted and too small and whatever for lumber. Okay. Gonna get into a bit of the economics and stuff, but we don't need it. So the ditch bunny is now headed to the, big box store, garden center, whatever. First thing our brother and ditch bunny sees and immediately heads to check out are the racks upon racks of neatly stacked firewood. The wood is a nice uniform size. Of course it is. It comes out of an automated wood processing machine. It's well seasoned, nice and dry. Of course it is. It's been in the display rack. It never moves. It's been sitting out there for quite some time. Ditch bunny looks about, there's like 30 or more of those concrete bin bunker things, whatever they're called. You got bark mulch, you got, red gravel, white gravel, sand, soil, you got all that stuff. You look across the yard, you might see another one of those bunkers just loose loaded with wood. Yeah, we'll come back to that. So our friend the ditch bunny, you may or might not decide to run the gauntlet across to the bunker thing to confirm the wood there is the same as in the racks. And if he does, it will indeed jive up with the racks. This is, of course, because the wood in the bin bunker thing seldom moves either. Don't take me wrong, the big box store is not crooked in intent. It's just those pesky variables again. The foremost problem is the wood processor, doesn't dry the wood. By necessity, they process it green, and it gets piled in a giant mountain of wood and shipped to wherever, whenever. Arriving at the big box store, garden center, stumped onto the ground in another mountain, invariably way back of the property. Again, no ill intent. It's just a matter of space and economics and the like. So the very nature of the beast dictates you're unlikely to get really well seasoned wood. You know, it hasn't a chance. Another issue is it's really a crapshoot on what's in your load. That mountain of wood, and I'll use it as in a mineralogical analogy. You won't confront any slag. That went to the pulp mill. It's a mountain of iron ore. It's got veins of gold, silver, and copper, but you don't get to mine it. The next complicating factor is the big box store's loader equipment, skid steer, backhoe, payloader, whatever. The buckets are measured in cubic yards or yards. Take a look at this chart. Oh, I'm gonna have to carry that over to the phone, aren't I? Lack of the blackboard. Okay, I'll hold that up for a second. Machine, wood. Did it focus? We'll see. As you can see, it's pretty hard to get these measurements to jibe up. Further exacerbating the problem is the cubic yard measurement of the bucket is based on a tight-fitting product. Dirt, sand, gravel, not big chunks of wood. So, the big box store decides with honest intent that just for argument's sake, a 1.5 yard bucket is equivalent to a face cord. Pesky variables come into play again. Operator competence. And/or was the bucket truly empty to start with? Or were there some 2 square feet of frozen product lodged in the corner there? You know, you might wanted some manure for the garden, but not in with your firewood, not at firewood prices. Season variances. If your load was spooned out in the depths of winter, did the loader operator have the sense to paw through the snow frozen stuff on the top? Or did you just end up with a big frozen lump of ice with some firewood in it? So, there's the pitfalls, the ups and downs of buying it from a big box store. It's always there. It'll be decent quality wood. It's very unlikely to be dry. And, you know, unless you take your pickup truck there and have the operator load it, you're apt to have some wild discrepancy on what you actually get. It can vary from time to time wildly. Does the kid driving the machine have a clue about firewood? Ice, snow, does he know how to operate the thing properly? You know, somebody told him, you know, face cord, that's one scoop. So, tune in next time when our friend the Ditch Bunny becomes acquainted with Slick Willie and Firewood Fred in his quest for a source of honest, reliable, affordable, quality firewood. Next time, where do we go? Might as well, part 4. We have slippage. Yeah, well, no need to introduce an introduction for next time. It'll be there. Showed you everything I wanted to show you. I'm gonna put that back on my stove now. Thanks. Take care.